Anybody that has followed any of my captions probably knows that I had this big identity crisis as a result of booking Stranger Things, letting everything in my day-to-day life here in Texas, including this venue, slip. You can always tell when I'm in a bad cycle because my eczema glitches out. Because it's as easy as putting this little cream on. Because I was having such a hard time appreciating and acknowledging all of the smaller moments after coming down from this high. And I finally got to my breaking point where I decided the best solution was to film myself.
I feel stupid even doing this now, while also motivated because it's something creative.
And I just wanted to reintroduce structure into my life, which started by reading on the treadmill. And the first book I started to read was Cheryl Diamond's Nowhere Girl. And it was this weird thing where her story is so different from mine. You would think that I would have absolutely no ability to connect or relate to it at all. And yet I found myself understanding a variation of the emotions that she was feeling. One thing I love to do with any sort of book that I read is to transcribe scenes from it into screenplay format, because it helps when I'm trying to send people scenes for my workshop, but also getting that physically involved with something makes it that much easier to retain all of that information. We all just have to shut up and follow. I'm going to New York to infiltrate. And it's a cool habit stack because it's creating and learning at the same time. This workshop has been the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. It's allowing me to start reshaping my identity to being somebody that gets an idea and then just follows through with it. I always get trapped in self-doubt because I'm so sure that if I plan long enough, I'll somehow get this masterpiece on paper, but it just reminds me of how big my graveyard of ideas actually is. Anytime we feel stuck or trapped in these negative feedback loops, it's often because we feel powerless to something. What if I don't handle caffeine well because I'm so desperate for it to fix me instead of just letting it empower me? Because I've handled this last week of caffeine phenomenally. I'm totally in all the kitchenware because I don't want anyone to see me filming. And it's not until we allow ourselves to take that power back, we start to focus more on what we're able to control, that we can actually rip ourselves out of that loop or out of that sticky situation. When you look down, you had an exhale where it's kind of like, and what that does, instead of like actor goes for line, you're making the look down seem intentional, and it's like part of this momentum. That was Cheryl's book for me. It took this tragic backstory, and yet even then, there's this person who's able to forgive, who's able to continue moving on with her life. So how can I choose to roll over? How can I choose to give up when this badass woman who had every possibility and reason to give up didn't? It does a great job of just cutting through all the bullshit and getting to the root of what actually matters in life, and has the beautiful lesson that we can never control what happens in our lives and what people do to us, but we can control the way that we respond. And it's so empowering to realize that the only thing capable of stopping us is ourselves. Everything has so much synchronicity. And I talked to my friend Ashley Nesbitt on my podcast, People Spooning Podcast, and she said something very similar to the effect of
just this idea that, Ashley, it's not your fault if you grew up that way, but it is your fault if you stay that way. In all things in life, there are a lot of things that we go through growing up, and there are a lot of mindsets, negative mindsets we may develop because of our experiences, or we make up excuses about our character. You know, we have bad character flaws and we just chuck it up to, oh, well, that's just how I am. Well, maybe it is, but you can change that. You know, we allow ourselves to make up too many excuses just to stay stagnant or to not keep on advancing in life. If we have that, if we have that mindset of that's just who I am, or this is just how my life is, or this is just how it's always been.
So I'm at my healthy. Things are going good.
I probably look like a doofus.
So, if you haven't read it yet, go check out Cheryl Diamond's Nowhere Girl. It is now available in paperback. I'm going to put a link in my story so you can go check that out. She's also going to be on my podcast, so go follow People Spooning Podcast so that you can check that episode whenever it drops.
In your warmth, the sun was put to shame. I wouldn't change a thing. Was it pain or was it circumstance that pulled you from my broken hands?